Good afternoon. I was going to talk a little bit about self-control, but following Tyler's talk, I want to talk a little bit about our research on dishonesty and then move to self-control. Because I think you will hear that what I have to say would probably echo quite well his discussion from earlier. So let's think about dishonesty from an academic point for a few minutes. How many people here have lied at least once in 2013? Okay, how about the last month? I'm not going to ask you about the last week or the last hour. Actually, there's this very sad study in which you take two people, you put them in a room, people who don't know each other, and you say, please introduce yourself to the other person. Tell them something about you. And after 10 minutes, they put them in separate rooms and say, did you lie to the other person? And everybody says, me, of course not. What do you think I am? And then they say, well, luckily we taped everything you said. Let's play back to you the tape, sentence by sentence, and you'll tell us whether each sentence was true or not. And on average, in this exercise, people admit to lie between 2 and 3 times in 10 minutes. And the reality is that we all admit that we lie socially quite often. In fact, nobody says to their kids that the right answer to the question, honey, how do I look in that dress, is always the perfect truth. At the same time, how many people here in general think of yourself as honest, wonderful people? Right, the same group? And the question is, how can that be? How can it be that we on one hand understand that we're dishonest, on the other hand we think of ourselves as honest people? So we decided to look into this. And the way we look into it is we designed all kinds of small experiments. In our experiment, one of them looks as the follow. We give people a sheet of paper with 20 simple math problems. And we tell people we'll pay them $1 per question they solve correctly, and that they only have 5 minutes, which is not enough time to solve all the problems. So if you were in the experiment, I would pass the sheets along. I would say, ready, set, go. Turn over your sheet of paper. And now start solving them as fast as you can. At the end of the 5 minutes, I would say, stop, put your pencil down, and count how many questions you solved correctly. After you finish doing it, and you know how many questions you got correctly, I would ask you to take the sheet of paper, go to the back of the room and shred it. And then I would ask you to come back to the front of the room, tell me how many questions you got correctly, and I'll pay you accordingly $1 per question. People do this, they come to the front, they said they solved 6 problems, I pay them $6, they go home. What the people in the experiment don't know is that we played with a shredder. Talking about cheating. But this is for science, so it's okay. The shredder only shreds the sides of the page, but the main body of the page remains intact, and we can find out how many questions people really solve correctly. And what do we find? People really solve 4, but they say they solve 6. And this shift from 4 to 6 is not due to a few big cheaters, it's due to a ton of little cheaters. We did this experiment so far on about 40,000 people, and we found about 20 big cheaters. And together they maybe stole about $250 from us. We also found more than 30,000 little cheaters that stole about $60,000 from us. So it's not that people who cheat in an extreme way don't exist, but they're really few. But there's lots of people, lots of us, who can cheat a little bit and still feel good about ourselves. And now the question is, what's the mechanism here? So the standard theory of dishonesty is all about cost and benefit. What do I stand to gain? What do I stand to lose? How do I play with the risk, cost, and benefit? We try that out. We promise people more money per correct question. 10 cents, 25 cents, 50 cents, $1, $2, $5, $10. What do you think happens when the amount of money they stand to gain from cheating goes up? Nothing. Lots of people cheat, just a little bit, and it doesn't matter how much we pay them. Probability of being caught also doesn't change much. Again, reflecting in Tyler's talk, right? When you change the probability of being caught, really nothing much changes in our experiments. So what's going on here? Why do people cheat? We have lots of temptation out there, and not only do we have lots of temptation, we'll get more of them. The nature of the development of the commercial world around us is that life in a year will be more tempting than it is now. And there was this very sad analysis that looked at what is the percentage of human mortality that is either caused or aided by bad decision making. And when they looked at it about 100 years ago, they looked backward. 100 years ago, it was about 10%. Think about how 100 years ago a bad decision could lead to bad health or death. When they look at it now in the US, it's about a bit more than 40%. Why? How can it have increased so much? It's because as we create new technologies, we also create new ways to kill ourselves. Think about diabetes, obesity, smoking, texting while driving. Texting while driving can kill us quickly, but the rest of them are small decisions. Each of them doesn't matter so much, but in total they can actually get us to die much earlier. So self-control is a big problem. It's with us and it's only getting worse, but we have to fight. We have to fight it. We have to find ways to fight it. And basically the three, I think, interesting approach is to think about reward substitution, to think about self-control, and then to think about what kind of general tricks we can teach people, like the kids in Walter Mischel videos, in which they would basically learn how to behave much better. So that's basically it for me.